Hello and welcome to the Chatterbox Letters podcast. I am going to be reading my very large chatter-like letter to my listeners. This book, aka Chatter Letter, is called Whole. I hope you will enjoy as I read Wholes in audio format. I will be reading chapter by chapter so it seems interesting as you are curious to know the whole story at its entirety. Introducing Holes by Louis Sachar. I will be reading chapters 8 and 9 since chapter 8 is a very short chapter. I'm going to read them both together. So here is chapter 8 and chapter 9 of Holes. All right. Chapter 8. A lot of people don't believe in curses. A lot of people don't believe in yellow-spotted lizards either. But if one bites you, it doesn't make a difference whether you believe in it or not. Actually, it's kind of odd that scientists named a lizard after yellow spots. Each lizard has exactly 11 yellow spots, but the spots are hard to see on its yellow-green body. The lizard is from 6 to 10 inches long and has red eyes. It's true its eyes are yellow, and it is the skin around the eyes which is red. But everyone always speaks of it as red eyes. It also has black teeth and a milky white tongue. Looking at one, you would have thought that it should have been named a red-eyed lizard or a black-toothed lizard, or perhaps a white-tongued lizard. If you ever been close enough to see a yellow spot, you probably would be dead. All right. The yellow-spotted lizard like to live in holes, which offer shade from sun and protection from predatory birds. Up to 20 lizards may live in one hole. They have strong, powerful legs. They can leap out very deep holes to attack their prey. They eat small animals, insects, certain cactus, thorns, and the shells of sunflower seeds. Chapter 9. Stanley stood in the shower and let the cold water pour all over his hot and sore body. It was 4 minutes of heaven. For the second day in a row, he didn't use soap. He was too tired. There was no roof over the shower building. The walls were raised up 6 inches off the ground, except in the corners. There was no drain in the floor. The water ran out under the walls and evaporated quickly in the sun. He put on his clean set of orange clothes. He returned to his tent, put his dirty clothes in the crate, got out his pen and box of stationery, and headed to the rec room. A sign on the door said rec room. Nearly everything in the room was broken. The TV, the pinball machine, the furniture. Even people looked broken when their worn out bodies sprawled all over the various chairs and sofas. X-ray and armpit were playing pool. The surface of the next page table reminded Stanley of the surface of the lake. It was full of bumps and holes because so many people had carved their initials into the felt. The hole was in far wall, and the electric fan had been placed in front of it. Cheap air conditioning. At least the fan worked. As Stanley made his way across the room, he tripped over an outstretched leg. Hey, watch it, said an orange lump on the chair. You watch it, muttered Stanley, too tired to care. What you say? The lump demanded. Nothing, said Stanley. The lump rose. He was almost as big as Stanley and a lot tougher. You said something? He poked his fat finger in Stanley's neck. What you say? A crowd quickly formed around them. Be cool, said X-Ray. He put his hand on Stanley's shoulder. You don't want to mess with the caveman, he warned. The caveman's cool, said Armpit. I'm looking for trouble. I'm not looking for trouble, Stanley said. Excuse me. I'm just tired, that's all. The lump grunted. X-Ray and Armpit led Stanley over to the couch. Squid slid over to make room as Stanley sat down. Did you see the caveman back there? X-Ray asked. The caveman one tough dude, said Squid, and he lightly pushed Stanley on the arm. Stanley leaned back against the torn vinyl upholstery. Despite the shower, his body still radiated heat. I wasn't trying to start anything, he said. The last thing he wanted to do was, after killing himself all day on the lake, was to get in a fight with a boy called the caveman. He was glad X-Ray and Armpit had come to his rescue. Well, how do you like your first hole? Asked Squid. Stanley groaned and the other boys laughed. Well, the first hole, the hardest, said Stanley. No way, said X-Ray. The second hole is a lot harder. You're hurting more before not hitting, You're hurting more before you can even get started. If you think you're sore now, just wait and see how you feel tomorrow morning, right? That's right, said Squid. Plus the fun is gone, said X-Ray. The fun? Asked Stanley. Don't lie to me, said X-Ray. I bet you always wanted to dig a big hole, right? Am I right? Stanley had never really thought about it before, but he knew better than to tell X-Ray he wasn't right. Every kid in the world wants to dig a great big hole, said X-Ray to China, right? Right, said Stanley. See what I mean? Said X-Ray. That's what I'm saying. But now fun is gone. And you still got to do it again and again and again. Camp fun and games, said Stanley. What's in the box? Asked Squid. Stanley forgotten he had brought it. Oh, paper. I was going to write a letter to my mother. Next page. Your mother, laughed Squid. She'll worry if I don't. Squid scrawled. Stanley looked around the room. This was one place in the camp where the boys could enjoy themselves. And they do so. What they do so, excuse me. They wrecked it. The glass on the TV was smashed, as if someone had put his feet through it. Every table and chair seemed to be missing at least one leg. Everything leaned. He waited to write the letter until Squid had gotten up and joined the game of pool. Dear Mom, today was my first day at camp and I've already made some friends. We've been out on the lake all day. I'm pretty tired. Once I pass the swimming test, I'll get to learn how to water ski. He stopped writing as he became aware that somebody was reading over his shoulder. He turned to see Zero standing behind the couch. I don't want her to worry about me, he explained. Zero said nothing. He just stared at the letter with serious, almost angry look on his face. Stanley slipped it back into the stationery box. Did the shoes have red X's on the back? Zero asked him. It took Stanley a moment, but he realized Zero was asking about Clyde Livingston's shoes. Yes, they did, he said. He wondered how Zero knew Brand X was a popular brand of sneakers. Maybe Clyde Livingston made a commercial for them. Zero stared at them for a moment with the same intensity which he had been staring at the letter. Stanley poked his finger through the hole in the vinyl couch and pulled out something of the stuffing. He wasn't aware of what he was doing. Come on, cavemen, dinner, said Armpit. You coming, caveman? Said Squid. Stanley looked around to see that Armpit and Squid were talking to him. Oh, sure, he said. He put the piece of stationery back in the box. Then he got up and followed the boys out to the tables. The lump wasn't the caveman. He shrugged his left shoulder. It was better than bar bag. Boy, that was kind of some weird chapters, but it's part of wholes. And I looked at the letter that Stanley started writing his mother. It was like, he didn't want her to worry, and he was lying in that letter, but he just didn't want his mother to worry about where he really was. Wow, Camp Green Lake, which is no lake at all. All right, I would like for everyone to like, share, subscribe to my podcast. Hit that notification button to know when I go live. Ring that bell for updates on my podcast. If you have a chatter letter that you would like to send for me to broadcast on my podcast, send your chatter letter to the Chatterbox Letters Podcast, Post Office Box 5556, Lakeland, Florida 33807. You can write whatever you want to write about in your chatter letter. Please keep it clean, keep it clear, in your words. That's what I mean by keeping your words clear and discreet. And please, everyone, you guys, please send me that first chatter letter. I will sure appreciate everyone who does send me their chatter letter. Please don't hesitate to send me your chatter letter. Procrastinate and send me your chatter letter today.